Good afternoon, esteemed traders and investors. Today is Wednesday, February 25th. I present to your attention another market review for InstaForex. As always, I'm glad to be here with you today. So, it's Wednesday. Let's take a look at the news highlights. Today, Trump has already spoken. There was no particular volatility following his statements. And in the evening, and actually during the day, we already had data out in the Eurozone that's clear, oil inventories, and everything else is tomorrow. Initial jobless claims in the US and PPI on Friday. Well, let's take a look at what we can trade on the charts. Let's go. No, wait, let's start with the charts. Gold, rising slightly, climbing. On the 15-minute chart, you can see that the Asians have once again broken the short trend that they started yesterday. By the way, some Europeans are also trying to establish a new bullish trend of roughly this kind. Of course, on the smaller time frames, it all looks lively, but on the larger ones, these are just minor corrections from the natural support and resistance levels. $2,120 per troy ounce. And I think everyone can see this level now. It's better not to mess with it. The euro-dollar pair is the one that interests me most right now, because on the 15-minute chart and even on the H4, I think it's becoming quite clearly visible. The instrument is trying very hard to reverse. It is struggling quite a bit, but it's definitely happening. Let me remind you that right now I'm covering the end of last week, a news-heavy end, I would say. The end of last week and the beginning of this one. The current period has been marked by a bullish impulse and a weakening of the US dollar, which in the euro-dollar pair appears as upward impulses. Then, over the course of the next several days, we attempted to slide our way down. And today, finally, it happened. What we are seeing here is something of a more or less distinct and visible bullish impulse, which has the potential to keep moving upward, or, by the way, it might not. But Asia and Europe, the start of the European session traded upwards. We tried to break this short trend, and it's possible we'll see continued growth along these lines. Let me remind you that on the 4-hour charts, you can clearly see the levels where the instrument might go. There are two zones. These are from the week before last, which weren't taken out at the time, starting from the inflation data that came out in the middle of the month. And I would really like to see the quotes go higher. It's possible that the place where we are now is a very good spot for buying, but the instrument hasn't reacted to the long break zone yet, though it might do so a bit later. The pound-dollar pair is feeling a bit livelier than the euro-dollar. And by the way, unlike the previous instrument, here there's a local area between yesterday's bullish day and today. I think this area could also be taken out on the H4 chart. Here, of course, it's a wild flat market, but for now it's clear that the long break zone is holding, even though it's not easy.
Looking for real trading advantages? InstaForex offers the lowest spreads and commissions. On major currency pairs, our conditions are better. Lower spreads and only $5 commission instead of $7. That's real savings for every trader. And now, let's get back to the market review.
The Australian dollar has also come to a halt. Right now, I'm showing the weekly chart near the level, let's specify it, 0.71579. I think it will be broken through in the near future. From the perspective of buying, there was also a long initiative here, then a pullback, and possibly a third wave, which we expect with the previous majors. Here too, the dollar might close. The Canadian dollar has paused its victorious long rally and has stalled a bit. And here, the general scenario, of course, for a significant decline is still relevant, but we are interested in prices for a careful entry. If the instrument does not reverse from the current price levels, then we will be interested in prices around 1.385000, and then for a further drop from the short breakdown zone. But it could also happen that it collapses, breaking the current long trend. And then, after a pullback, we will try to catch it on the way down. But this impulse needs to happen. It hasn't happened yet. Dollar-yen. At this moment, the dollar-yen is testing the short breakdown zone, which occurred at the beginning of February this year. From there, the instrument could potentially fall significantly for those who are ready to take a risk, literally. Thousands of points to gain 4 or 5, it's actually a pretty good spot. Take a closer look. As for oil, on the H4 timeframe, after aggressively updating the September highs, it's swelling up. Why? Because at this moment, nothing is really happening in the Iran conflict except for the ongoing escalation, fears. But under these fears, the instrument has already grown from 58 to 67, almost $10. I think that's absolutely enough. There are no new setups, so for now we're skipping it.
I also want to remind you that every InstaForex client automatically receives loss insurance. For every $1 of compensation, only $4 of your friend's investments are required. Just submit a request, and your losses will be recovered. Let's continue with the review.
Looking at the current state of Bitcoin, after its recent and significant grim drop, it is now trying to recover its previous market position. Today, investors in the Asian markets bought in very strongly, although this movement didn't fully materialize as expected, not from a flanking breakdown, but it happened exactly at a short breakdown. And by the way, I didn't remove that level. Take note, those who sold Bitcoin with roughly that stop could have made more than a 1-to-1 return. Those who watch my master classes know how it works, what the probability is for a 1-to-1 trade, and what it is for a 3-to-1 trade, and so on. You could say that the test of the short breakdown was successful, and here there was about 1.5-to-1 in terms of zones. For selling, we have higher levels of course, but still. But by the way, between yesterday and one of the key extremes from the day before yesterday, we still have this weekly sloping platform left. If you happen to be an impatient little trader, your buying zone is actually a bit lower. But as I understand it, someone has already tried to buy in right here. If they get shaken out, then you can try to play for an increase roughly from this breakdown where Asians were buying like crazy at 64,000. The American stock market is slowly rising from the ashes. Let's refresh our levels. The instrument is growing. Let me remind you that this is happening the last 40 years. I pointed out the places where you can buy it, but there is an interesting spot to buy this asset, not far from the current quotes, because the Americans bought up this instrument very impressively at the end of yesterday. The long breakdown zone is around 68. Or rather, well, it's 6,860. If they offer good prices for buying, you can buy from here. And by the way, your stop will be behind the low. After such a shakeout like yesterday, I think you can get about 1 to 3 here. As for NASDAQ, it's the same story as well. It's slowly heading off towards new highs again, and here the technical setup is absolutely the same as for the S&P 500 dollar.
With InstaForex, you can triple your profit. For every $4 of your friend's investments, you automatically get an extra $1 added to your profit, with no extra conditions.
Frank, starting from this instrument, is also interested in grids. If the low is broken, then a grid of limit buy orders with a 500-step channel. Frank, it's the same story. I don't want a grid of limit buy orders with a 500-step for the year. Audi cut. I see that buyers are already starting to lock in their profits little by little. So I'm waiting for a good, deep corrective move. If it goes down, I might set up a sell grid with a 1,000 step. Here, I think there's a higher probability to make money on the New Zealand dollar-franc pair within the range. We're not touching the Australian dollar, and for the New Zealand dollar, we're also waiting for a deep pullback, which hasn't happened yet.
We also have a great offer. Fund your account and get a 30% tradable bonus. Trade with additional capital and expand your opportunities with InstaForex.
EURUSD is falling, and you can carefully start building a long grid with a 1,000 euro step. Colleague is holding within the range. We're not touching it, but there's a high probability of breaking through this zone due to a strong short impulse. And as usual, silver has already formed a clear zone at 92,300. But for buying, we need good prices, which we don't have yet tonight. Friends, InstaForex offers a free consultation with a personal trading consultant. Follow the link in the video description, fill out the callback form, and gain access to exclusive offers and special trading conditions. BRT Plus for risk-free trading. That's all. Trade with InstaForex, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for new reviews.